Great Filter is a Phobos Tech podcast. All proceeds go to fund the STEM Theory Research Project. Inspired by the economic systems of both Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek and Ian M. Banks' Culture series, STEM theory aims for a cleaner, healthier future for all of humanity. Go to thegreatfilterpodcast.com to like, rate, subscribe, or follow us on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and more. The Great Filter has adopted the No Pass directive. That's no placements, ads, spots, or sponsors. So check out the support link at thegreatfilterpodcast.com and consider becoming a monthly contributor. Options are as low as 99 cents per month. Thank you. Will we be the filtered or the filtrate? This is the Great Filter. Execution, mass pollution. My solution, kill the humans. Tim Williams, VOD, or Vision of Disorder. I chose this. This is a lyric. This isn't a quote in your traditional sense. But Vision of Disorder is a hardcore band that I grew up to. I still absolutely love them. There was a point in my life where they were my favorite band. And this particular phrase is one of the hardest hardcore breakdowns ever. It's just, I don't know, just good heavy music, man. Reading it out loud, it makes it sound a little... It's hard to read it out loud and give it the same emotional kind of force that's behind it. If you listen to the song, if you're into hardcore, you've never heard of Vision of Disorder, I highly recommend it. That is from a song called Zone Zero. Check it out. If you don't like hardcore, don't check it out. All right, since last episode, I've added quite a bit to this, and so I think we're going to go about 5 parts for this particular topic. There's just a lot I want to say about this, and a lot of points that a lot of people don't understand. So I feel like it's important to get this to become kind of the norm understanding, kind of something that everybody understands on a very conscious level, not something that people bury and hide in their the depths of their mental dungeons, but something that's at the forefront of their awareness, something that they are, something that's consistently in their awareness, something they are consistently observing and have an understanding of as we navigate our lives. All right, now in the first part of this series, I had put a quote in the episode description, and I thought I was going to use that quote, but I didn't, so I'm just going to read it off here. Quote, "The first subcategory of suicide is of the more immediate sort, intentionally carried out by the conscious mind and typically focused on the cessation of pain. The second subcategory is of a more discreet and drawn-out sort, characterized by the misguided search for absolution, brought on by an unconscious sense of self-loathing, and silently executed just outside the victim's periphery. The real difficulty in saving humanity is not in ascertaining a diagnosis. Without question, our situation is of the second sort. The real difficulty is in discovering a reason for convincing each other that we deserve salvation." End quote. Now, I think that quote is one of the reasons why I wanted to first try to categorize the possible, human suicides into intentional and accidental. But after going through it, and after laying everything out, I really kind of realized that that's not how to categorize this. It might be, I guess, relevant for categorizing kind of the psychosocial sort of underpinnings of why it happens, but they don't really help categorize the potential problems, the events that we bring on either accidentally or intentionally, because there's a lot of intermingling. There's a lot of intermix and peppering of one into the other and vice versa. The reason we're doing this, though, our focus, what we want to, extract from laying this out and kind of looking at everything is so that we can have a good idea of not just what they are, not just what to be on the lookout for, but we can kind of, step things back a little bit and really see if we can determine what the causes of these are, the mindsets of the people that help, potentiate these sorts of events. And if we can determine that, we can at least get a handle on, possible solutions. And if we can even just kind of tease out some solutions from what we're talking about, that's just that much more information. That's just that much more weaponry that we have against the possibility of something like this happening. Okay, now, before we do that, let's go back to this original idea of these kind of two different types of suicide. You have the intentional suicide, right? And granted, we're talking about single people for a second, but I don't think the psychology or sociology or psychosocial, dynamics here are all too different from what is happening in a single person's head. Granted, it's much larger and it involves much more complexity, but I think your basic components are there. Even within, human psychology, within a single person's mind, you have the concept of reaching or having consensus. These battles you have in your own mind, right? It's not necessarily even things you are aware of. This happens all the time across, multiple different systems within somebody's brain. There are all sorts of systems that are always interacting with each other and kind of almost in a way voting, determining what the next course of action should be. In machine learning and artificial intelligence, I never fully understood, how this kind of worked until I got into actually working with AI and machine learning algorithms. And it really is that you have it's like a voting system, and each vote carries a certain weight with it and a certain amount of influence, and it's just the way our brains work. So, to draw that comparison to set a full society on one side and a single individual on the other, and say that they are similar in decision process, isn't too far of a stretch. So I just wanted to make that point before we really get into this, because I think it carries a lot of weight. I think there's a lot to be said there. All right. Now, I think a better sort of categorization here, instead of intentional and accidental, are events of commission and events of omission. Things that we do, either individually or as a group, and things that happened because we didn't do anything or because we didn't stop doing something. And now, there aren't a whole lot of weapons, technologies, or capabilities or access to, different powers that would be capable of just extinguishing all of humanity. We have a few things, at our disposal, but we really don't have a whole array of these super destructive capabilities and powers, within arm's reach. We really don't. So, as I said before, we're going to kind of go through, these fairly quickly. I think most of us understand most of these. I don't think too much of this is going to be too big a surprise for anybody, really. As I kind of mentioned before, the reason that we're going to lay this out is so that we kind of, we can sort of extrapolate backwards, kind of walk it backwards to try to figure out the roots of all of this. So at the top of the list, not in severity, but top of the list as in most people are aware of this. I would be surprised if there was somebody out there that didn't understand this as a possible threat, which is nuclear winter, right? We've got nuclear arsenals all over the place, with Russia leading the world with about 6,800, something like that, warheads. The United States is 5,000, almost 6,000. So Russia definitely has more nukes than we do. United Kingdom, France, Israel, and both Israel and India, Pakistan, China for sure, and North Korea. All of these are, the nuclear players of the world. And the most recent, well, apparently, there's been a report that was posted on the DoD's website and then taken down by the Pentagon or something like this. I don't know exactly what happened, but where in the Pentagon their assessment as to the likelihood of a possible nuclear conflict has gone up. So that's not great, but it's also not as I think most people understand what nukes can do. I think most leaders are well aware of just the unfathomable damage that these devices can, the power that they have. I don't think anybody's going to go hitting that big red button on a whim. At least any sane person in power. Obviously, we are aware of several of the countries I just named whose leaders are just fucking nuts. So you never know. But defenses apparently are cutting edge, and the U.S., I believe, has several weapons that can take out an intercontinental ballistic nuclear missile in the blink of an eye. So, yay for us, I guess. Frustrating that that's something we have to worry about, though. What I'm really concerned with is biological weapons. Engineered both chemical and biological weapons, I think terrify me more than a nuke does. Simply because of how, it's self-generating. Obviously the chemical agents aren't self-generating, but engineered pathogens, they are self-generating. They can reproduce. And that's terrifying, because a miscalculated act of terrorism could easily get out of hand and just clobber the entire planet. It's not outside the realm of possible, and it is something that, the possibility that is what takes us out versus all-out nuclear war, I think I would award the greater likelihood to a engineered pathogen by far. Now, chemicals are scary. They're disturbing that we even, have chemists out there that are hired by governments to design these chemicals that do just terrifying, fucked up things to people. But we do, and they exist, and there's a fair amount of them. So, but they don't reproduce. At least, I don't think anything we've been capable of making can reproduce. It may very well be down the road that we find some chemical that can reassemble and duplicate, reproduce in a way. Anyway, I don't know that we have anything like that right now. If we do, I don't think anybody knows about it. not really something I'm concerned about at the moment. Now, back to pathogens. It is possible that a pathogen is designed to sterilize, right? Like we know of viruses and different organisms that can cause the human the reproductive system to either shut down or become tainted to where any sort of offspring has serious defects. You know, if the pathogen was introduced to the fetus while still, you know, in the womb, it can cause all sorts of terrible side effects. But yeah, something that could spread across the world, not cause any sickness, and sterilize everybody. A sterilization, either chemical or biological, as in the means of sterilizing is either chemical or biological. I think that's another quite dangerous possibility. Sentient AI or machines, or AI programmed to kill people. This would likely be on the rung of, for that to be a serious threat. I mean, I think we're talking, you know, you would have to have Boston Dynamics level automatons in droves. I mean, you would have to have like armies of these things all programmed to do the same thing. And even in that, you know, they're not really, I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to put anything past AI. Okay. But, usually an artificial intelligence system can only do one specific task really well. So if this was going to be something we were going to worry about, and that now granted, we're not going to be in this one task ravine for too long. In fact, some machine learning algorithms are, you know, beginning to do a couple of things at the same time. Beginning to be capable of learning a couple of different systems. So I'm not going to put this totally too far out in the impossible range. It's coming. We're going to have a time when they're going to be able to learn and adapt and do just about anything they need to do to both survive themselves, reproduce, and if programmed to do so, annihilate people. But again, the resources to pull something like this off, first of all, you would have to have the resources, which is a lot. Like, this is not an easy task to pull off. And second of all, you would have to be a fucking madman. You would have to be an insane piece of shit to think that this was a good idea on any level, right? So, you know, now there's always the possibility that there's some sort of underground, you know, military laboratory that is working on some new high-tech, top secret weaponry that we don't know about. That, you know, okay, let me step back just for a second. Obviously, this is happening. Like, there's no way this is not happening, right? The military is always up to some crazy shit. Not just the military, the government, other governments. There's no doubt in my mind that most governments that have any sort of extra funding, any sort of military power, right? Most of them are doing just this. Likely, it's not something we're going to see for another 10 to 20 years. But the fact of the matter is, this is most definitely going on. It really isn't a question. You know what I mean? It's happening. We just don't know what it is or how likely it is that whatever they're all working on could be or spell a doomsday scenario. Okay, so that's kind of the bubble of, you know, the sins of commission, the range of scenarios, or I guess the range of things that require an act of committing. You know, it needs to be perpetrated by an individual or by a collective, right? These are things that are in the commission category. Okay, now let's jump to the omission category. Now, I don't know if you're aware of what the criticality experiments were. I mean, this was some crazy shit that these people did right here in the United States, like in California, what university was it? I can't remember. Stanford, or not, UCLA, I can't remember. At any rate, when we were, getting to understand fissile materials and how radioactive materials reached criticality, they literally had criticality experiments. So, and these guys weren't wearing protection. They weren't doing anything. Like, a lot of these people died from radiation poisoning later in their lives because they were just right in front of it. No big deal. There were all sorts of accidents that happened, and they're so disturbing and to read about. It's like, what are you guys doing? But, so warhead ready kind of material, right? And what they did is they encased it with the top part is just kind of like this cover that you lower. Now, when you lower it, because you're totally enclosing it, it will actually start to react. And, it'll start to glow and everything. It will begin a chain reaction simply by enclosing it in this manner, letting it go critical. So it's just fucking crazy that anybody did this. I mean, people were warning them against this. Physicists were saying, asking them to stop doing this. There was one man who did this, and he was playing with it. Like, he wanted to see how close he could get it, to start going critical, and then release it. I mean, what the fuck were these guys thinking, dude? Anyway, he fucked up, and I think he was holding it up with a screwdriver or something. Man, I can't remember the story. He fucked up, and it closed shut all the way, and it just started going, and he pulls the top up and just receives this immense dose of nuclear radiation. Dude dies, obviously. I think, there's a bunch of these accidents, and they all kind of have similar things that happen. I can't remember. One of them, the guy saw a big flash, like not with his eyes, like in his brain, like the radiation flooded through his brain, causing all of his fucking neurons to fire, and so it was like a brain zap, right, with visible flashes. Like, how terribly stupid of a thing to do. Like, why? I don't understand. Everybody knew. I mean, we knew it was dangerous, right? We knew doing this stuff without protection was stupid. It wasn't like we didn't know what we were doing. That's why we were doing it. We knew what it could do. And, okay, by the way, I probably got a lot of that wrong. Definitely check it out, though. Look them up, read them, because it will blow your mind what these guys were willing to do. We're talking like Ivy League physicists, At any rate, my point is, remember when they opened CERN? And there were some people that were afraid that the higher energy particle collisions might cause black holes. Remember this? There was kind of like this whole like conspiracy theory sort of thing going around. Now, I don't know how well founded some of these theories were. I'm not a nuclear physicist, so I'm not going to say anything to that. What I am going to say is, if, some of these guys were right, if some of these calculations did show that there is a probability that when you start colliding at these speeds, you could possibly create little mini black holes. It may be that it does create little black holes, but they're so fucking small that they evaporate within like a femtosecond or something. Or that it's just like a bunch of gobbledygook. Either way, my point is, this is under the category of omissive behavior. Sins of omission. Things that we are not doing or not doing correctly. Things that we are just kind of being dumb about, not taking proper precautions, not doing what we need to do. So experimental accidents on a sort of mass extinction kind of level, I would like to say that I don't think modern scientists would do anything stupid. But at the same time, I also know that scientists that are working on the bleeding fucking edge of what is possible, toying with powers that we don't even understand, sort of a, situation, there is an addictive, a level of just like this addictive attraction to it, where they don't necessarily stop to really think through things logically. No matter how fucking smart they are, how many PhDs they have, there is a point of being so overwhelmed with the excitement of what you are working with, and nobody else is working with this. This is a top secret government project. You're fucking with this and this and this, and this is so exciting, blah, blah, blah. There is an intoxication that happens. And this isn't just with physicists or scientists, right? This is with anybody. When you are playing with something kind of dangerous, right? Something that a lot of people aren't doing, that, you've kind of either have sole access to or sole understanding of, there is an intoxication that happens. And it's just natural. But it also makes you stupid. And it makes you dumb. I wonder if there's a term for this. There's got to be a term for it, like a psychology term for this. My point is, don't discount that. There's just a rush that comes with it. There really is. So I'm not going to discount that. I think that is a very real, very alive tendency of, razor's edge research, especially in AI. Oh my God, I guarantee you, if a company out there, or a group out there, or a solo programmer out there figures something out, discovers something, oh my God, this has got to be it. This is what we've been missing. This is how we get AGI. This is why we haven't been able to do it, kind of a thing. Of course, he's going to fucking write the script that turns his desktop computer into an Einstein. Of course he will. Are you fucking kidding me? Dude, of course he will. There is not one programmer on the planet that would be in that situation and say, oh, no, I can't. That's not the morally, that's not the responsible thing to do. I promise you. I can guarantee you. If there is some aha moment like that, of course he's going to do it. Or she. I'm sorry. But you know what I mean. Of fucking course it's going to happen. And that's concerning, because that is a real problem with that kind of a thing. Like, it really is. It's not a benign sort of situation. That is really a real problem. So, that whole thing. Errors in judgment that lead to fatal decisions. More omissive behavior or omission-like behavior, like how fucking long it takes to get all of our vehicles electric, how long it takes to stop using fossil fuels, how long it takes once our world, once our ice caps are melting and we've got ozone holes in the ozone, how long does it take for us to respond? It's taken how many years? How long have we known about this? And we still aren't up to par. We still aren't where we need to be. That's a sin of omission. That's the kind of thing that is going to catch us. I think omission is the worst one. Obviously, commission, there's some bad shit that can happen. There's some bad people out there that want to do some bad things. There's even some good people that just do stupid things. But omission, omitting, not doing, avoiding having to deal with whatever, I think that's where the real danger is. I mean, obviously, that's where the real danger is. Our society is so stacked and so bureaucratic and so paper passy, pencil pushy, inky, signy kind of a mentality that to really get a real big movement going takes a lot of time, energy, and once the momentum is built up, it's hard to stop it. That's why it's hard to stop what's happening now with the environment, with the ozone, with global warming. And this is something we're going to cover in the next episode. But these momentums that we build up, we have not protected ourselves from this. We have not found a proper shield to keep us from either building up too much momentum, going in any one direction, because going too fast in any one direction is a bad idea, period. It just is. You never know when something's going to happen, when some discovery is going to rear its head, when what you've been doing the whole time has been fucking something up this entire time, and now it's becoming a problem, right? You never know when that's going to happen. And to not be capable of reorienting quickly is very deadly. That is like, being in a car and just going faster and faster and faster and faster. And then all of a sudden you're like 100 yards in front of a big reinforced iron fucking wall. And, you've got borders on each side. You can't turn or go around it. You're going straight and you're not going to get around it. You can crunch on your brake as hard as you want, but you're going right through that fucking wall. Or not through it, you're pancaking right into it. And that's kind of the problem with building these momentums, these industrial and economic momentums, political, is that it takes so long to stop and recorrect when the problems arise. Fucking war on drugs, prohibition. I mean, we could do this all day. Like, there are so many examples of this that it's not hard to find one. So, I don't know, from my perspective, you may agree with me, you may not, but it seems to me that the acts of commission, I don't think, they can be deadly, they can be problematic, they can be really dangerous, but I think it's these acts of omission, these things that we don't do, these things that we ignore and put off, that really become the big problems. And, just like the quote earlier, right? The first category of suicide, it's these intentional, focused, directed sort of actions. They're immediate, usually, right? They have immediate effect or immediate reaction. And then the second kind is the more quiet, the more discreet, the more silent, the things that happen along the sides in our periphery while we're not really paying attention, the things that we're just kind of aware of. We kind of understand that it's important to do this and this, but we're focused on what we're focused on, and we're just still plowing ahead. And by the time we realize that, the demons in our periphery have become these big fucking unstoppable, right, world-crushing monsters, it's too late. Yeah. So the question here is, we've got this idea, in our minds that we deserve this. We did this. We deserve this. Fucking, come on floods, come on earthquakes, come on fucking solar storms, come on crazy solar ion blankets that just rip our ozone off. Come on, motherfucker, because we deserve this. It's time for humans to step down and for another species to take the evolutionary high road. But I'm not so sure about that. Because I didn't do this, and I'm trying my fucking hardest not to, and a lot of people are. There's a lot of people that have stopped using vehicles, that ride their bikes around. There are a lot of people that really, truly are trying to do their best to be the kindest they fucking can be to our planet and to our environment. And, this is a group effort. But the problem is that we have these huge collectives that are so fucking powerful that their decisions, the weight of their decisions grossly outnumbers or, outperforms the weight of the do-gooders' decisions, the weight of the average Joe's decisions. And that's another problem that needs to be corrected. So, that is this episode. That's what I really wanted to get out. I'm laying the groundwork here. The good shit's still coming. I know some of this can still feel kind of intense and a little crazy, but trust me, we're just warming up. We're just warming up. We've got some juicy, crazy shit coming in the next couple episodes. All right. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. Be sure to like and or subscribe or rate or whatever your thing is. And please do think about becoming a supporter of the Great Filter podcast. All right, guys, I am signing off. I will see you guys next time. Bye. In the interest of transparency, the Great Filter podcast is a Phobos Tech production. All proceeds go to funding the STEM Theory Research Project and other Phobos Tech research endeavors. If you enjoyed this episode, please show your support by sharing, liking, and subscribing. You may also help support our efforts with a small monthly donation. Thanks.